allegiance?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brian, would you lead us in prayer?
Absolutely. Thank you. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to come together to do the business of this county. Lord, we ask you for wisdom and guidance in all that we do. We do pray for those that are sick. Many in our community right now need a touch. We pray, God, that you'll provide that. Pray for the families that are in mourning, the hurting, and Lord, that you will just continue to help us during this time. Pray that you continue to give guidance and wisdom at all levels of our local government and at the state and the national level. Help us all to be about the people's business, to do the will of the people, and Lord, that we would always look to you for wisdom. And we ask it all in Jesus' name. And everybody said,
Amen.
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 Thank you, Brian.
Thank you both.
Good morning and welcome to our
Good morning.
January 13th Commissioners meeting. You've both been given the minutes of January 10th, and I'm sure have had time to review those. If we can get a motion to accept those,
I would make a motion to approve.
or approve rather.
And I will second.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting 2021 inventories,
Do we have any comments or questions? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request to attend meetings,
This was a request from Job and Family Service Director Tammy Morton. No cost, it's just a request to go to some training. Do we have any comments? Questions? Hearing none.
I would make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for appropriation of funds,
Do we have any comments or questions on item 4? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting an amended certificate from the Budget Commission, this was for December 31st, 2021 ending.
Do we have any comments or questions on item number 5? Hearing none.
I'd make a motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for appropriation transfer of funds,
Any comments, questions on the appropriation or transfer of funds? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of acceptance of conditions of standard lease instrument regarding Greenup Locks and Dam, Ohio River, abutment site recreation area.
All right, this is a project I've been working on. Very excited about this project. So I don't know the best way to call it. We call it the Dam Park, but we're going to have a different name for it. The park down at the Greenup Dam used to be a roadside rest stop through the state of Ohio. It reverted back to the Corps of Engineers 15 plus years ago, I believe. Since that time, the restroom facilities have been closed. It's really not being used. I believe a neighbor was even cutting the grass. I have worked up the chain of command through the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have agreed to allow us to lease that property with the potential option to purchase at a later date to develop for a park in that side of the county. The goal and the vision for that would be to have a park there on the river. It's a beautiful location. Put in a playground equipment. I'd like to see us find some all-inclusive, all-accessible playground equipment for children of all ages and disabilities to be able to play together there. And then also, I've had some preliminary conversations with the trustees in Green Township. That park loops into Kenyon Road that runs parallel with 52, and to get that finalized and paved and then turn it into a true multi-use, multi-road with the appropriate signage and markings to ride bikes, run in a safer manner, still open to traffic, still open to farming, but to truly designate it as a multi-use road, that would give us, it's about a 7-mile loop from the park back down to 522 and then back to the park. It's very exciting that they're just willing to let us get in there and start developing it. Today it's a letter saying that we can get in there now, we can start maintenance, we can start doing what we need to do. Today is not a lease. They will get that to us likely in February, but due to me wanting to go after some grants and just timelines, they were able to give us a letter of intent to provide us that park. Any questions or comments on this matter?
One thing I think that would be really nice, and I appreciate all your work on this, one thing that'd be really nice is if we could, down the road, once we get in there and figure out what all's going on and what needs to be fixed, and we have an idea, but it's going to be a little bit of a gap here for us to be able to get the work done and everything else. But because of the layout of Franklin Furnace and how it's all set up and how when you go into Franklin Furnace, you're out there on County Road 1 and then your first road is Bobcat Lane on the switchback. It's a cutback into the community there. And if you keep on going on that Bobcat Lane, it runs into the former Ohio University Equestrian Farm, horse farm. And beyond that is, I think it's Beal Real Estate. There's farms. It's Beal Farms. Right beyond that is the park.
To connect it all.
If we could connect a multi-purpose route, bike path, it would truly connect Franklin Furnace to the park and give them safer access for kids and families. Just a thought, and not having talked to the property owners or anything like that. Of course, that's, something they may not want to do. But the easement wouldn't be very wide, and it could possibly do that. But not just saying, as far as connecting the two in a safe manner, it might even extend the biking opportunities even more in that community. So, and of course, to everybody throughout our community, and of course, the idea is to offer more recreational opportunities for all citizens of Sauter County. So, just a thought, and it would work. It literally just runs right into Kenyon Road at that point. So it can be done.
Nice.
So anyways, just a thought.
Any additional comments or questions on this item? Hearing none.
I make a motion that we gladly approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of authorizing the clerk to advertise notice to bidders for Hammerstein Road improvements, Sauter County, County Road 253.00, regarding the Sauter County engineer.
This is to bid out the improvements on Hammerstein Road pending ODOT's approval. They do have to approve it before we would even advertise it. This is giving our clerk permission to advertise once we get that approval from ODOT. Any questions or comments? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting miscellaneous reports.
Any questions or comments on our miscellaneous reports? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In a matter of Access Sauter County Capital Replacement, monthly invoice, charter service, incidental use certifications for December of 2021.
Any questions or comments on item number 10? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of 2022 SEBCO Wellness Grant Agreement.
This is the grant that helps fund our wellness program for our employees for the county. It is administered by our clerk. She does an excellent job every year getting different programs together to make our staff healthier. And the goal here is to drive down our insurance cost and to have a more engaged staff as we're looking at wellness. Any questions or comments on this item? And I will mention that the administrative funds is $4,000 and the program funds are $9,840. Hearing no comments or questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In a matter of drug testing quotes from the Loss Control Department,
This line item was requested by our loss prevention director, Ryan Sheezer. We are looking at our drug-free wellness program through workers' compensation. Part of that is linked to being able to drug test. And Ryan, if you want to share, I'll have you come up, if you want to share more about the quotes we received. We received 2 quotes, one from Collier Medical and one from Southern Ohio Medical Center regarding these, this program. It is something we need in place for drug-free that provides us some savings through our workers' comp program. So Ryan, if you want to share a little bit about these.
Yeah, so excuse me, these quotes are being presented to you to support the development and implementation of a drug-free workplace program. It is a BWC program safety requirement, and it also, once we improve our safety ratings, we'll be eligible for rebates on our workers' comp premium. Right now, we're currently ineligible. However, BWC will pay for the development and implementation of this program up to a certain amount. So what this is to go ahead and get the ball rolling, if you will, on who we would send our employees to be drug tested with, how much that would cost, what that would look like. And later on in another meeting, we'll be addressing the safety-sensitive positions to be able to legally move forward with drug testing and who can, who cannot be in accordance with the ORC.
Now looking at the 2 quotes, it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like Collier will mobilize, they'll come on site, they'll provide the randomized drug testing or just drug testing in general. Does SOMC provide that service as well? It wasn't evident in the quote received.
It's in the quote. They do on site. I think it's a little more expensive than Collier, but I haven't spoken to anyone directly about what that would look like for them.
Oh, I see it right here on site per hour. There's a rate there to mobilize. So, yeah, it's a little more expensive. Well, no. Collier's more expensive, but their tests are cheaper.
Yeah, I apologize. I got that backwards.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but our engineer's office already has a relationship with Collier?
They do, yes. That's who they use for their employees testing.
Okay. Any other questions or comments
That was mine.
for
That's
Ryan?
all I needed, yeah. Okay.
So we have a choice of 2. Would we like to have a motion on who to go with for our drug-free services to provide our drug screening and random testing if need be, and after accident testing, and the things that are required for our drug-free program?
I guess I do have an additional question. Do we have a recommendation from our loss prevention?
Oh, that's a great question.
Certainly. Currently, I would recommend Collier, as we already have a county working relationship. That's not to say SOMC would be of any less quality, but since we already do have county entities utilizing them, I think that would be a good recommendation and a process to get started. And I did speak to, I can't think of her name, but I did speak to Collier directly, and they did say that they could come on site, perhaps use the courthouse or the health department space to do the drug testing itself. So that's what I would recommend.
I do have one additional comment for Ryan. Today is a very important day in Ryan's life. It is his birthday, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
Well,
Still in your 20s?
Yeah, 29 forever.
Forever, very good. With with that added information and recommendation, what would be the board's pleasure?
Upon recommendation of our loss control director, I recommend or make a motion to approve hiring Collier to do our testing.
I'll second that.
Okay.
so Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of amended fiscal year 21 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, otherwise known as CHIP, regarding the CDBG, BC1, BC2 grant agreements.
So this item is just cleaning up some dates from the 21 CHIP program. It's basically the milestone dates attached to this program. Any comments or questions?
Did we ever find out if there was a third revision?
There was not, there's no milestones for the SC.
No further questions.
Okay, with that,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
aye.
In the matter of accepting an amended certificate from the Budget Commission, and the reason that there's two, the last one was for 21 and this is for 22.
Any comments or questions on item 14? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for fund transfers.
Any comments or questions on item 15? Hearing none.
I will make a motion to approve those transfers.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of approving the payment of the regular schedule of accounts for the various funds, moral obligations, and then and now certificates in the total amount of $494,317.67.
Any comments on item 16? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye. Any questions on the agenda? Or off the agenda? How about questions in general?
Carlene Hughes says, where are you getting that money, but you can't get money for children's service and a children's home? And I'll stop that there.
I'll answer this. So one of the prevailing questions specifically tied to CPS that I've seen online is where's all this money coming from for rehabs and not for children's services? And I think, and if I'm wrong with the question, please clarify. Please know that the county is not in the rehab business. We don't have any rehabs. We haven't funded any rehabs. That's a business that we're not into. Part of the funding mechanism for rehabs is through the state level, through the Medicaid system. That all originates from the legislator. So that's nothing that we control. There's no way that we can funnel funds or money specific to rehabs, or even take money from rehabs and point it to children's services. I made a comment to the board, Children's Services Board on Tuesday. Until Columbus finds a way to quit spending money on the people that are using and start spending money on the people that are affected, we're going to continue the problems that we have, instead of investing in these children to ensure that we don't have the next generation of people exposed and using and in the loop of addiction. So I hear the concern, I hear the question. We get it. It is a funding mechanism through Ohio and through the Medicaid, and that's all through the legislator. So reach out to our local representatives and our senator. If you want to see change in those funding models, that's where it starts. And we've been having those conversations as well, often, frequently. But I think that's probably what she's getting at. Is there anything else you would like to share, either one? No?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely right. And the bottom line is everyone needs to understand children's homes in general are frowned upon by the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. If we were to build one, number one, it takes 18 months to get any licensure. If we could get it, that would be the problem we would have. There's only 4 in the state of Ohio. I can tell you that one of those very old down in Adams County, if they turned the lights out tomorrow, they would never let them reopen. They don't like them. They frown upon them. They believe the foster, kinship, those kind of reunification. They're pushing reunification at the state level. You know, and I know, we know that is not always the answer. It's not what needs to be done in all cases. It shouldn't be the ultimate goal, especially whenever you have parents, grandparents, others that have no business having their children. Yes, we are angry about this. We are talking with our representatives, our senators, the legislature in Columbus, the lawmakers in Columbus to try to change the perception of ODJFS, those that feel like that is the ultimate goal, reunification. We know that doesn't always work. Our court is our juvenile court is very aggressive in removing children that are in those kind of situations. That's why we have 385 children right now in protective custody right now, because our court, our judge, our magistrate, our probation officer, everyone, CPS is very aggressive in removing children. We have Cleveland numbers. Our numbers are equivalent to the city of Cleveland in Sauter County. If you look at the surrounding counties, you don't see these numbers. And one thing we need to look at is it's not necessarily because of the population, it's because our courts and our people that are involved and in the know, they are very aggressive on this. The other thing is simply this: you can build a children's home, you got to operate that thing. To build one is probably around $11 to $12 million. I'm not sure if the taxpayers of Sauter County is prepared to do that. The other thing is an operating levy. An operating levy to run that thing would be around $3 million. We need to have a serious conversation with our public, with our citizenry, on whether or not they would actually support such a thing. And on top of that, whether or not the state of Ohio would support it. So if we don't have state support on such a venture, it's not going to happen. You know that. We have talked about this. So what we're focusing on is transitional housing. I had another conversation this morning with another group out of Columbus in regards to that. I haven't had a chance to share yet, but will. But we are looking at a way to create that buffer from the time the children are removed to the time that they are put in placement somewhere, somehow, to give the courts, CPS, law enforcement, foster care, you name it, everybody time to look at the situation, mental, physical health, evaluations, making sure that these children are loved, taken care of, and that there's that buffer. It is very difficult. We have struggled with this, but we are not going to quit trying. It's like we said the other night during the CPS meeting. Understand the frustration. We really do. It's not as simple as saying go build a brick and mortar and house everybody. It's not that simple. It costs money. And when you talk about millions of dollars to build it, and Sauter is not the wealthiest county in the state of Ohio by no means. So we have to be smart about this. In the meantime, our CPS is doing everything they can. They're stretched resources. The primary funding for our CPS is federal and state dollars. Everyone needs to understand that. That is the primary funding model for CPS around the state. That's the way it works. And because of that, a lot of people don't realize, they don't understand, and no fault of theirs. But there is a way to fund this thing. And what we have is a system that is not flexible. And because of that, we have a CPS and we have other and judges, judiciary, you name it. They have to work within the framework of the law, You can't act outside of that framework, okay? It's tough. This is hard work. And we have good people doing hard work trying to solve this problem every single day. I will say this, one more thing, and I'll stop. Sorry.
You're fine.
In regards to the latest issue that or infant death, I would beg the public to please be patient with law enforcement. Be patient with our prosecutor's office. Be patient with those that are investigating this death, looking at this death, trying to figure out what happened. It does not happen overnight. It doesn't. There are steps and measures that are being taken. They know a lot more than we know, okay? They are involved in this investigation and they know a lot more than we know. So we need to give them the time to do that. But I would ask everyone to please be patient, keep an open mind, be angry, but make sure that your anger is directed toward the right source, okay? There are people that have been arrested in this case already, okay? So let's make sure that our anger is directed in the right direction, and let's be patient and find out what's really happened before passing judgment. And Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Well, thank you.
I will add just two things. First, I've been trying to talk to people that could make these decisions in the upper realms of government, and it's and we get nowhere. One of the last comments was made to me directly was that when the government can't fix it, they just throw more money at it. I asked them to divert the money from rehab facilities and adult rehab facilities, and perhaps divert that to children. And again, and that this is no fault of their own because they can go so far, but as Chair Powell and Commissioner Davis have both said, it's at an upper level where they are not flexible, and we could do a lot more. This community could, by rallying together and making those phone calls, writing letters. And I see a lot of comments on Facebook and through the news. There's a lot of you that have the same concerns as the three of us. So I would urge you to move forward in that direction. Secondly, have patience with Children's Servants Agency as well. We were talking to an agency that fosters, their whole business is placing children in foster care all over the country. And when we talk about nearly 400 children being placed in foster care, and I think we all agreed after talking with them, we look at that, we have looked at that in a way that, you know, this is terrible, almost 400 children, you know, but as this director of this agency directed or explained to us, that should tell the community how much we are doing. We have taken nearly 400 children out of harm's way and placed them in homes as best we could. I never looked at it like that, but I have been thinking about it since that last conversation. Our agency has removed, in our judicial system, and all those involved have removed nearly 400 children. And where we used to look at it as a black eye on our community and all of us, it truly isn't if you look at it in the way that this director explained to us. It's really not. It shows the great effort that we are making to place children in a safe environment. But that's just about it. We hear very negative comments all the time. Unfortunately, this last case it's horrendous. It's heartbreaking. It's all that we feel the same thing every one of you are feeling. So I would just ask you to be patient and understanding of all those involved.
Could I add one other thing? I know we've mentioned our state rep, we've mentioned our state senator. May we add, they agree with us.
Absolutely.
They agree with us, but the problem is this: they have to go to Columbus and convince the General Assembly to do something. And when you see other areas that are literally pushing their problem down to Portsmouth, pushing their opioid addicted people down into our area, which we now can prove is happening, then those areas are less likely to do anything because they don't have a problem. And that's not fair to us, but they are trying. But the reason we're asking you to reach out to them is for this reason, is that whenever they go to committee, they argue these points, that they can pull out emails, they can pull out letters, they can take notes from phone calls and say, this is what my constituents are saying, this is what's going on in our area, our district. We need help. Please help us. We need you to go along. I'll give you an example right now, and I was talking to Senator Johnson over the weekend, and Dillon's Law is languishing in committee right now. They can't get it to the floor for a vote because there are people on that committee that are not in favor of Dillon's Law. They are not in favor of protecting children. I'll say it publicly. That's what that bill is all about, because we, as a community, dealt with a tragic situation with Dillon Grove, We saw what happened. Dillon's Law was crafted originally by a local citizen and a group that came to Senator Johnson and said, here's what we need to do. They've taken that law, they've massaged it, they've done what they thought they needed to do, and now it's languishing in committee. We need to know who these people are and just start bombarding them with letters so we can change it, because here's the deal. Government is of the people. The people are the ones that need to make these decisions and let their representatives, and our representatives are doing their job. It's other areas that aren't. So we're asking the citizenry to get engaged, get involved. We need more voices, and our representative and our senator need those voices so that they have an army of people behind them pushing this. So let's do that, folks. We talk about that all the time, and it's real, it's true. If we stay silent, nothing will happen. We have to very loudly proclaim, and it can't just be this office. It has to be all of us. We're trying. We've all been in contact with our representatives. We've all talked, but we need more. We need healthcare professionals. We need the people that are seeing the fallout from this crisis. We need you to call and make conversation. Be nice. Of all things, be nice, but be direct and say, this is my position on this. They will appreciate it. They will, because if we're silent, no one believes it's a problem. But if we're loud in one voice, they will. They will. So, my 2 cents.
Thank you for that. No other comments or questions on or off the agenda?
Comments, no questions, you want comments? I typically only offer questions if you really want something to respond to. If you want comments, I give.
I mean, is there a common theme within the comments that we can address, or is there just?
Yeah. Joshua Lawson, whatever solutions to the CPS dilemma might be found at the local level, it doesn't help to pit treatment/rehab against Child Protective Services. All that does is perpetuate the stigma against the people who use drugs and those in recovery, which ultimately only fuels the problem.
And I hear Mr. Lawson, and the intent is not to pit one group of people against another group of people. The resounding comments we're hearing from the community is the frustration, because they can see money being spent on one group of people that have been impacted by the drug epidemic, but it's not evident that any resources, in addition to what's already been there, has been focused to the most vulnerable population that have been impacted to no fault of their own. So I think we can tackle 2 things at one time without attacking groups. The reality is there has to be more funding or more efficiency within the CPS system. We spoke Tuesday. They have $580,000 in past due invoices dating back to October that they have not yet paid. So the way they'll pay that is for the most recent disbursement. Money that should be used to pay for services for this year, they'll be taking that money and shifting it to last year. We're going to have tough decisions this year to make. It is very likely at the current burn rate, to no fault of anybody at CPS, let me be very clear, they're not out there just spending money, just due to the tsunami of kids that are affected, there's not enough resources there. So this community is going to have to take a very real look at this problem, and are they willing to pay for it or not? Because it'll likely come down to a levy. When does that happen? When does it hit? That's ultimately up to the board to make that recommendation to us. My assessment, they had, if they would spend the rest of their reserves on their outstanding debt, they have $14,000 in the bank. That's the very real number. The reason that's not happening is because they still need operating expense. They still need payroll. They still need benefits to pay for the people that are overseeing these children. So we've had multiple conversations. We're looking at very many different ways to tackle this. We're looking at what other counties have been doing to see how we can be more efficient. There's other business models out there. We're reviewing the data and trying to make the best informed decision we can when tackling this issue. But once again, who would have thought that, I think Commissioner Coleman, when you joined, you had 200 kids?
It was less than 200.
Less than 200, who would have thought in such a short time we would double that? Just since I've been around, we've almost went up an extra 100. So this isn't pitting one group against another. Treatment's real, people need treatment. The frustration is clearly that the state government has spent money on one group of people that has been experiencing the opioid epidemic and that are in treatment, and they haven't allocated the resources and the fallout of what that means to the children or to the extended family and to the people that are taking these kids in and doing the right thing. So we shouldn't be pitting groups against each other, not at all. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. But it's ultimately, as a community, figuring out how do we pay for this? Because there will be a time in the very near future, I believe, if something's not figured out soon, that this board will have to make the decision to send a substantial sum of money to Children's Services to keep them solvent. So, and that comes out of the general fund, money that is used to provide multiple other services across the county. So we will be faced with that, I believe, this year. We're looking at the data, we're getting the best information we can, but I understand the concern. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Commissioner Davis, any comments?
No.
Any addition?
No.
Commissioner
Not at this
Coleman?
time.
Not this time. Just one reminder, CHIP opens up on the 18th at 8 a.m. It is first come, first serve that has their application and proof of.
They're only picking up the application on the 18th.
They're picking up application.
Yeah, and then.
Maybe you should
Okay.
pitch this, sorry.
That's okay. So on the 18th, it's application. We're opening up to come and receive the application. Once you pick up the application, you get your documentation, you'll call the number that's in the packet, and you'll set up an appointment to turn everything in. The first come, first serve is on the repair only. The rehab is a point system, so an inspector will come out and it'll be pointed in order to receive that kind of assistance. So, but the repair is first come, first serve, so get that stuff back in quickly, call and make that appointment, and make sure all your documentation is in the packet when you return it.
Very good. And finally, I would just thank my co-commissioners as I kind of muddle through my first meeting as chair. Thank you for the support, and looking forward to a very good and busy year. There's a lot happening, and can't wait to share more with the public. With that, any comments from our guests? No comments? Very good. Well, have a very good weekend, and we will be back online next week. Thank you.
Need to be ready.
Motion
Oh.
to adjourn?
Sorry.
Motion